I'm on an upward pleasure spiral of learning skills and communication techniques that allow me to deepen and expand my pleasure with my partner and myself solo.
Hello and welcome to Self Talk. I'm your host, Rachel Astarte. Today, I'm very excited. My guest is Susan Bratton. She is an intimacy expert to millions, a champion and advocate for all who desire intimacy and passion their whole life long. She's created hundreds of techniques that transform having sex into making love and is the world's most well-respected sexual biohacker. We're going to talk about what that means in a minute. But today, we're going to really focus on midlife libido, and especially for women, desire, arousal, lack thereof. So before we dive in, Susan, I would love for you to give us a little insight into how you got to this amazing line of work.
Well, of course, Rachel, it was through my greatest wound that my greatest gifts became available to all of us. I'm celebrating 30 years of being married to my husband this month. And about 20 years ago, 10 years into our marriage, I didn't want to be intimate with him anymore because I'd never had an orgasm from intercourse. And frankly, I just got tired of it. Didn't want to do it. I wanted to have great sex. I wanted to have a great sex life, but it was very unsatisfying for me to not have orgasms unless I could use my vibrator. And I felt very, very disillusioned by the whole thing. And I kind of checked out. I did mercy sex for my husband, just to, throw him a bone at the minimum times I absolutely had to. And he was miserable and he emotionally checked out of the relationship. He started getting his needs met elsewhere, which I understand. And we said, God, what are we doing? Our friends are dropping like flies here. Everybody's getting divorced. And we knew it wasn't money because all our friends and ourselves were gainfully employed in the Silicon Valley and doing very well financially. So Tim and I are of the mind that we don't know anything ever, hardly at all. And we just are lifelong learners. We're very much in that kind of personal growth mindset. And we said, well, what do we need to know? Because it's possible to have great sex. It's possible to have orgasms from intercourse. It's possible for your sex life to keep getting better instead of swirling down the toilet. So what do other people know that we don't know? We went to therapy. We dealt with some unresolved trauma that I had. And that was no small feat. I don't want to gloss over that, but I also don't want to go into it in this conversation because we're tight on time always. But I dealt with it through a few modalities, and we went to sex workshops and we went to personal growth workshops. We started getting really honest. We learned about the practice of expanded orgasm. We focused on becoming better in bed together, and it didn't take long at all. It was like, holy cow, why is this so easy to learn and nobody teaches it? And being internet tech people, we said, well, let's bring all these workshops online so that people can learn how to transform having sex into making love, doing what I call transforming friction into connection and pleasure for both people. And so I think I was really early on in trying to close that orgasm gap, cross that gasm chasm between how easy it is for men and how difficult it is relatively for women, and come to find out all these years later that essentially we've been having what I call patriarchal sex the way men want to have it instead of the way women want to have it. So it's really no wonder that we make it to midlife and think, oh God, I don't want to do it anymore. Or I don't want to do it with him anymore, And so there are a lot of women who they get divorced and their husbands are like deer in the headlight. They didn't even see it coming. There are a lot of people living in sexless and loveless marriages who are just getting by for the kids, which is misery. There are a lot of women who think that they are broken, and they're not broken. Sex is broken. And it's not just sex. It's the patriarchal way that we've been thinking that we're wrong and they're right. And so I think that once women understand how our bodies work and how we have to honor our time frames for arousal, a lot, and what we need that we haven't been getting, and that it's not us and it's not them because they don't know either. It's our society, it's our culture, it's religious repression, it's a lot of things that have that whose time has come and gone, like patriarchy. So I'm here to really explain how you are not broken, and sex is amazing when it's good. It's all learnable. It doesn't take long, and it's just knowing a few simple things, and we can happily go there or wherever you want to, but that's kind of how I got here.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And I love that you took this journey for yourself, but with your husband.
Oh yeah.
You know, that he was also able to say, yeah, let's work together to fix this.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously both of you benefit from that.
Men want us to have incredible pleasure. They just don't understand that we live in very different bodies. I mean, it's funny, in some ways we're very much the same, and in other ways we're so different. So like, we have the same amount of erectile tissue as our male-bodied partners. I mean, if you imagine a banana and you think, okay, that's my husband's penis, and half of that banana is sticking out of his body and half is actually inside in the buried shaft. So if you double the size of your man's penis and then you peel it like a banana, everything that's inside is erectile tissue. It would cover the palm of your hand, all that tissue. Well, we have the same thing. Take that banana and just turn it into a circle with a point at the top and pop it around your vagina. And that's our erectile tissue. We've got a banana in our panties and it's just circular. And so, but it takes longer to fill with blood because there's more nooks and crannies. Right. So we've been having intercourse. We've been rushed. So the patriarchy says that sex is for procreation only, and sex is the end game, and everything else is foreplay. And it's like, well, it turns out that for women especially, but also for our male-bodied partners who just didn't get the memo either, that all of the kissing and the breast play leads to our erectile function. It fills those nooks and crannies. All of the sensual massage, the words of encouragement, the things that we need because we're estrogen driven, are the things that fill those nooks and crannies. All of that very beautiful, soft genital massage and oral pleasuring fills those nooks and crannies. Right. And unless those nooks and crannies are filled, sex, as in intercourse, is just not going to be, or it's not, we're not going to achieve our orgasmic potential. And we are massively multi-orgasmic as female creatures. And so if we stop thinking that everything is the end game of intercourse, and we start thinking that everything, it's a level playing field for all pleasure, and that all that pleasure is required for us to achieve the satisfaction that we need to want to honor and leverage our sexuality into our power and creativity, then we have to be willing to stand for ourselves and say, let's slow down, bucko. We're going to start doing yoni massages. We're going to start, you're going to start learning some oral pleasuring techniques. We're going to learn them together. I'm going to learn some pleasuring techniques for you. We're going to just slow our roll. Right. And then learn how to have intercourse, because men watch porn, and porn is degrading to women, most of it, you know, it's just for their masturbatory pleasure because they're biologically wired to masturbate every day, regularly. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how their system works, but they're fast. They get too fast at everything. They're already turned on, and then they go too fast. So it's like a double, triple, quadruple whammy of things that happen that never let us achieve our potential. And so once we become aware that it's not us, so we're just not the kind of woman who can have an orgasm from intercourse. That's bullcrap. It's just a learned skill like writing, reading, and arithmetic. And so if a woman is like, oh, wow, I never really thought to kind of take my timing into my own hands and ask for what I want and feel confident about it because it's not me. I'm not broken. Right. So that's a really, really powerful mind shift and self-talk to honor and listen to what your body wants in the moment, because we're also on a 28-day cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So our bodies are constantly wanting different things, where our male partners are very steady state comparatively.
Yeah.
So all these little things are like, oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And thank you for bringing up the patriarchy. And that is how we, whether we align ourselves with it or not, it's subconsciously part of our culture. And so, having been married 3 times myself, there is this implicit understanding that you have to do your wifely duty.
Right.
And that can oftentimes, if you're not into it, you're afraid, oh my goodness, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I love my husband. I want him to be happy. So I will just, as you said, just kind of phone it in.
Yeah,
it's not the phrase you used, but so this idea that we can reclaim time, that we can reclaim the speed at which we allow for our arousal is so important. Now, because we're specifically talking about midlife libido, and we are estrogen driven, as we're going through perimenopause, and when we're perimenopausal and we're into menopause, that estrogen level is dropping. So it seems harder for us to get that our juices flowing, literally and figuratively. But one of the things you're talking about here is it's not just about the intercourse. It's about the making love. Love is a huge word. Yeah. Right. So it isn't all about, and it's about being able to express, share, receive the love, which could come from just lying naked together, or just whatever it is that you're called to do in that moment. Yeah. So what might you say to women? I can almost hear them now with the yeah buts. So I'm going through menopause. I don't even like my body right now. I feel I'm bloated. I'm breaking into sweats. I have brain fog. I'm not feeling very sexy. How does one begin to shift the attitude about sexuality within oneself first? Hi, it's Rachel here. If you'd like to dive deeper into your own self-development, but you're looking for an alternative to traditional talk therapy, I think you'll love the Foundation of Self Immersion program. For a full year, you'll get dynamic coursework you can complete on your own time, plus weekly coaching calls and monthly one-on-one sessions with me for personal support. Visit foundationofself.com and click on the events page for more information. That's foundationofself.com. Now, back to the episode.
Well, there's a number of things I'll list off. The first, obviously, bloating. It's a bugger, that bloating. That's bad. That's a bad gut microbiome. And honestly, your libido begins in your gut. And so does all your neurotransmitter production and your hormone production. Okay. So if your gut brain axis is off, you got to start there. Number one. Number two, and that's a weed and reseed and feed strategy. Super Gut's a good book for that. By Bill Davis. And if you want Bill on your podcast, let me know. He's fantastic. The second thing is estrogen replacement therapy. It's literally my ground zero thing I do. It's the last thing you could pry out of my hands. I still menstruate at 61. I think that if you stop bleeding, you begin receding. We have planned obsolescence, and I'm pushing it off as far as I can, which is something you mentioned earlier around sexual biohacking. That's basically anti-aging and longevity strategies that extend your health span. And my area of expertise is extending your sex span, so you can have ageless intimacy that fuels your passion, your creativity, and your confidence your whole life long. It's great for rebooting your nervous system. It makes you look 10 years younger than your peers. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to keep your sex life going, to do whatever it takes to keep it going, which is my motto. Anytime anything is broken, like, for example, right now, Monday, I had a FemiWave treatment. This morning, I, put in my estrogen. I'm always focused on keeping my genital system, but my entire system, my gut, etc. And I deal with bloating still, things I eat, dysbiosis. I mean, it's hard in our culture today to have a flat belly that doesn't bloat. Sometimes you have to eat out at restaurants. They have seed oils, it's like, it's constant maintenance, but I'm down for constant maintenance so that I can live long and orgasm well. So number one is get the gut, constantly be working on your gut, prioritizing your gut. Number two is highly consider bioidentical hormone replacement. It just feeds your cognitive function, your heart health, your vaginal, reverses vaginal atrophy. It makes your skin look nice. It's just amazing. You don't have to keep having your period if you want to. I just take a little extra so I continue to menstruate. I don't have viable eggs, but I still menstruate, and because I like to. And so you don't have to do what I do. I'm just telling you what I do because I am doing a lot that, that's an interesting thought experiment. And then I think the other piece of it is understanding and learning how to have what I call heart-connected, passionate, conscious lovemaking. Heart-connected means that I am allowing myself to feel love for my partner. When I am making love to my partner, I'm telling them that I love them. I love you. I want you.
Right.
I'm glad you're with me. I'm generating my heart connection and asking them for theirs. And they want it as much as we do. Conscious is I'm communicative. I'm aware of my body. I'm aware of her needs. I'm telling you what she needs. I'm fully entering into my sexual moment, my session with you, my date with you, wanting to pleasure you and pleasure myself. And I'm all in for really focusing on our joy together. I'm here, fully present and conscious in this desire to be connected to you.
Right.
Passionate is I'm letting myself go. I'm surrendering to my pleasure. I'm allowing myself to try new things and have new experiences. I'm on an upward pleasure spiral of learning skills and communication techniques that allow me to deepen and expand my pleasure with my partner and myself solo. And then the lovemaking piece of it is I'm bringing the tenor of love making, slow, connected, pleasurable, sensual. I'm slowing down. I'm really standing for this nurturing that I want from the experience of my loving. So I'm moving out of being servile, doing it because I have to. I won't do that. And the more that you honor all those parts of you and you stand up and you bring yourself to it and you're there and you're communicative and you're into it, the better it all starts getting. So it's a little bit of skill, it's a little bit of communication, and it's a little bit of health and keeping yourself in good shape, genitally, physically, etc.
Yeah, beautiful. And thank you for bringing up the part about hormone replacement.
Yeah.
So I'm postmenopausal and I never touched the stuff. It didn't speak to me. So it's wonderful to hear the other side of it, because I believe that there are many ways. What you just talked about is so important. It's about the heart connection. So when we have that, it may look different to somebody whose estrogen levels are lower, They may have to work around if they choose not to use hormone replacement and do this all naturally. Then
hormones are natural.
Well, I mean, naturally without anything added
exogenous.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I just top off my hormones that I'm already making. I just top them up. I'm not doing anything that's unusual or non-biological. I'm using biological hormone replacement. So all I'm doing is adding, it's just like taking omegas. You can eat a lot of salmon and fatty fishes, but you can also take omega-3 supplements. You just look at it that way.
Right. So either way, there are many options but what we're talking about here is the expansiveness, I think, of our own sexuality and redefining it so that it fits with what and every woman is different, right? We can't say one size fits all, that we've just proven that. So, but what is the common ground, it sounds like, is slowing down and asking yourself, what do I need in this moment? Or what do I need to help myself to reconnect? And one of the things that I've found in my clinical work, but also talking to women who are in midlife, is there is that element of the societal message that women past a certain age are not viable. As you spoke to this earlier, that sex is for procreation only. And when you are not fertile anymore, then what are you doing? That's not okay.
That's a religious patriarchal paradigm.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't suit us.
And we know that. We may consciously know that. So the question might be, how can we remind ourselves, because it's so pervasive in our culture, even in secular culture. And I look at it in terms of, what does it mean to be sexy? So does it mean that I have to rock a bikini at 57 or 67? That doesn't mean much to me. That seems to me bleeding into the patriarchy again. Not that we shouldn't be proud of our bodies, but when we are displaying them for the sexual purposes of attracting mates, and that seems to belittle the beauty of what it means to be a wise woman in her midlife. So what might be some ways that you've experienced or learned about that we can, I don't want to say bash the patriarchy, but that was the first phrase that came to mind. Let's say reclaim ourselves in a society that really makes it difficult for us to do so?
Well, there's a couple things. I don't know if you saw the latest issue of Sports Illustrated, but Martha Stewart's on the cover at 85.
Right.
And she looks absolutely spectacular. Now she's a particularly beautiful woman. Those cheekbones, right, I know, Rachel? Right? I mean, you have beautiful cheekbones too. Those cheekbones, she's just such an accomplished, amazing woman.
Yeah.
And she's 85. And I look at that and I think to myself, oh God, we need more of that. And one of the things that I just got back from LA and I did a photo shoot, and I did a beautiful photo shoot, really sexy photo shoot with lots of costume outfit changes. I did some topless because I have large pendulous breasts. I didn't ever have a boob job, and I'm German, so I've got big boobs. And I used to think, oh God, my boobs hang too low. They're not attractive. And then I was like, why am my job is to stand for a woman being everything. I'm the CEO of 2 companies. I'm a mother of a beautiful daughter, inside and out, beautiful inside and out. I am a thought leader in sexual pleasure. I speak from the stage. I surrender to my pleasure with my husband and have incredible orgasms. I work out every day in some way to keep myself living long and strong and with balance and stamina and flexibility. And I want to model every single one of those things. And every single woman in the world is stunningly beautiful if she believes she is.
Yeah.
So what I want most is for women to really embrace how beautiful we are at every age and to live into that. Because though you could look at me taking topless photos of myself as playing into the patriarchy and objectification, it's much deeper than that. We women are wired to want to be beautiful and to love to be gazed upon with appreciation. We are the beautiful flowers of our animal kingdom, of the Homo sapien part of our animal kingdom. We're just monkeys. We're primates, but we like to be pretty. When we're little, most of us want frilly dresses and we want to be pretty, and we buy makeup and we do our hair and we put on cute outfits. So I want to own the part of me that loves appreciation and adoration for the beauty that I cultivate as much as I want to be appreciated for how goddamn strategic my mind is from a business perspective. Way more strategic than any man in my whole business. They're much more tactical. I'm the strategic one. That's why I'm the CEO.
Right.
So why can't we have it all if we want to? And if a woman's like given up on that for herself, I actually feel like a woman who's like, I don't need to look any way for anybody is actually ultimately just rebelling against what she thought was patriarchy, but does herself a disservice because she's missing the joy of her own cultivated beauty in the way that makes her feel beautiful about herself, which is a gift of life. It's a sensual gift of life. So I just want to encourage women to own and enjoy the beauty that they have right this second and for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really speaks to the internal, the way that we speak to ourselves, the self-talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, is I think that gets all tied together, right? Is this how women are viewed objectively, and objectifying as sexual beings, and then we're not able to see for ourselves how beautiful we are because we're comparing ourselves to women our age who look better, whose bodies look better. And that can be very damaging, right? What we want to do is go in and say, whatever my body looks like, that is the beauty. And my sexuality is beyond this body.
That's right.
It's about the energy that I'm putting out with my partner or by myself.
Yeah. It's the love and pleasure that my body can appreciate, experience, and expand and explore that are the most important thing. And it's interesting too, Rachel, that estrogen is a molecule of safety. And because in the world of the Homo sapien, we are the prey and the male partners are the predators, and not all of them, obviously, but enough of them that we have to have a high reticular activation system and look out for danger. And the estrogen is what helps us look out for danger. The estrogen is judgy. It judges safety. It judges everything. And so what it's doing is trying to keep us safe, but it makes us self-judge and look at ourselves in a critical and harsh way, more harsh than we should be. And interestingly enough, sex, lovemaking, intercourse, oral pleasure, all of those things, those are a mind state practice. They're a mindfulness practice because we have to focus consciously and actively on getting out of our heads and into our bodies and relaxing and surrendering to our pleasure.
Yes.
And when we have a partner who's very good at laying their hands on us and transporting us into a surrendered pleasure, a mindless, heart forward pleasure, we become much more satisfied with our sex lives and therefore more satisfied with our bodies because we're having really great orgasms. And who cares about a poochy belly or a fat butt or some cellulite on our thighs or some my boobs looking like weasels in tube socks? Screw it. The nipples still make me have orgasms. I love it. They grab handfuls of them and it feels great to both of us. So how do you move from all this critical self-talk to this loving self-talk? It's through mindfulness. Keep bringing yourself back to your pleasure and your heart connection and loving yourself through the process. And pretty soon that stuff goes away.
Yeah.
Get out of the groove.
It is a practice.
Of self-flagellation.
Yes, exactly. Unless you're into that thing. That's right. Okay. So here's a question. What would one do? So you were in a position where you had a really supportive partner. What about women out there whose partners are not on board with all of this? It's like, and you're married and you're in a very, very committed relationship and this isn't a deal breaker. How can a woman proceed if her partner is not really understanding, is more along the lines of, this is your responsibility, this is what I expect from you, and I don't feel like slowing down because that's how I have sex?
Two ways. Number one is they just don't understand. They don't live in our body and they don't understand. And their reaction could be fear, anger, or victimhood. The three favorite flavors of emotions of the male, because our society hasn't allowed them to have more emotions. So they go to those emotions because that's a deep, worn groove for them. So you bring your compassionate heart, number one. You explain what you're going for, what you're looking for, your vision for this co-creative sensual pleasure together. You explain it and you say, could you say back to me what I told you so I can see if you understand? They'll say it back and they don't understand. You go, let me say it a different way. You say it a different way and ask them to say it back. Oh, they didn't get it. They don't understand. They're like so dumb. They're not dumb. They're just like, it's not in their vocabulary. It's like teaching them French when they only know Spanish. It just takes them a while. You try it again and hear back what they say. And then you kind of have a level set of where they are, what they understand, what they need. And then you begin to say, I'm going to start telling you things I want and need. I'm just going to ask for what I want. And I'm going to slow you down when it's too fast. If I feel rushed, I'm not going to do it. We're going to take our time. We're going to get some tools. We're going to learn some skills. I mean, you don't learn these things. So you're just in a groove that isn't serving you. And so you just need to learn new things. It's easy. It's like learning anything. Sex techniques are one of the easiest things you can possibly learn because the minute you see it and do it and it works, you're like, oh my God, that was easy. Let's do that one again.
Right.
So you build a repertoire of skills together, perhaps for the first time in your marriage. So it's really just about slowing down and meeting him where he is and overcoming his fears. And number one thing he wants to do is a good job. Number two thing is he wants to be respected. So you have to do, I always call it my boyfriend training program or my husband training program, where you basically are just always telling him good things he did right. Hey, when you touched my breasts today, it really started feeling good. I think you're getting the hang of it. Thank you so much for really trying so hard. I see the work you're doing. Like that stuff just goes so far for guys. That's what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other part of it too is having a voice, right? Because so often we're just, I don't want to cause waves.
Right.
I'm not going to ask for what I want.
Yeah.
But we also forget that we can actually go further with our voice too. Everything you just said, On top of which, we could also say, this is for you too. This isn't just my pleasure.
Oh, no.
Right? This is
Your
a
pleasure
mutual
is
exchange.
their pleasure.
That's right. So sometimes they don't see it, as you're saying, but it could be made clear by explaining that this is mutually beneficial.
They just don't want to do anything wrong.
Right.
In man world, they live in a pecking order. In Ladyland, we live in community. We work together. We all like to work together to raise everyone up. In man world, they're in a hierarchical pecking order. So if he thinks he did something wrong, he goes down in the pecking order, and he hates that. Right. So you have to position things that explain it in a way where he gets lifted up. He goes up. That's what you want to do with men.
Beautiful.
Isn't that interesting? I know. It's so something. Once you've learned it all, it's like, oh, okay. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about coming on your show is that all these things that I'm saying took me decades. I was sitting in my bedroom yesterday, and I have a big bookshelf in my bedroom that has my overflow books from the ones that I keep in my office on the shelves in my office, which are kind of my ones where I still go back and refer. Yeah. And I thought, my God, and these are the books that I keep, not just all the books I've read. I've read 1,000 books on relationships, polarity, man, woman, intimacy, sex, etc., anatomy, everything. And psychology, relationship, everything. And I thought to myself, gosh, I have just read so much. I've studied this so much. And it took all these years for me to just come on your show and just explain in simple terms how to reframe your mind so you have a love relationship with your body and your sexuality and your pleasure instead of a hate relationship with those things, which is where you end up living in a patriarchal society that never serves your body the way it needs to for decades. Who can blame us for wanting to give up? But I really want to encourage women to not give up. And if you're listening to us now, you are one of the people who doesn't want to give up because you're still here with Rachel and I. So thank you. Join the club of women in pleasure and happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a beautiful way to put it too. And that we are wired for community, that we're wired to lift each other up, but sometimes society gets in the way, and then it's the competition for the man, right? So that's why we have to shut each other out or put each other down. And this, what you're talking about, is a complete reset of that. When we take, if I'm understanding it correctly, when we take care of ourselves, our bodies, our sacred sexuality, that's what we're expressing, no matter if we're making love or not. We're walking around like there's an energy that comes off you, Susan, that is vibrant, right? And that's not just your sexuality. That's your being. That's your true self, right? So if we're in line at the grocery store or we're making love to our partner, there's still that vibrancy there. So that's part of it too, is keeping ourselves alive in so many different and vital in so many different ways. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so attractive and so compelling, and it's big energy. Yeah. And it's really nice to walk in the world with that level of personal confidence and comfort in your own skin.
Yes, absolutely.
Feeling seen and important and loved and charismatic and beautiful and all of those things come from taking what is yours. Your sexuality is a birthright of your humanity, just like the love of family and friends, beautiful art, being in nature, healthy food, your spirituality. These are the gifts of humanity, of being alive. And to squander them because you've had shitty sex your whole life, you can go down that fork of the road and give up, as most people do, or you can fight for yourself and your pleasure and your rebooting of neurotransmitters and generating all that great oxytocin and just feeling more confident about yourself because you're one of those women who's orgasm powered. You're living a turned on life. You're a turned on woman. That's palpable.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I love that. And it is big energy. So how can listeners find you, Susan?
Yeah. I was thinking as we were talking that one of the free gifts that I give away that might be really, really appropriate for your listeners today is something that I call the Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT, like an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing that women listening to this episode will still struggle with is, I don't want to tell him what I want because it'll hurt his ego and he'll contract and it'll ruin the moment. And that's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I want. I just know what I'm getting isn't it. These kinds of things are what hold us back and keep us silent and keep us stuck.
Right.
And the Sexual Soulmate Pact is a super ninja technique that you can teach your guy pretty darn easily. Now, there are a couple of male-bodied partners out there that are just stubborn donkeys. And you have to stay on your donkey. If you're married to a donkey, you'll have to really stay strong and keep teaching him this 5, 10, 15, 20 times. You know how when you train your kid and you have to say the same thing 4,000 times during their childhood and they finally turn out to be great kids because you did that. Uh-huh. And the parents who didn't do that ended up with kids that are obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're doing with your male-bodied partner if they're a donkey. You just have to keep telling them what to do. And every time they get close or they do it a little bit, you tell them they did a great job and keep going. So it does take some resolve for a few of the women who are listening. They're going to have to work extra hard. But generally, most partners really take to this Sexual Soulmate Pact communication technique very, very well. It's my number one bedroom communication skill. I give it away for free because I really like people to, the very first experience they have of trying something that I teach, I want them to be like, holy cow, what else does she have? So it's, this is my crack. This is how I get you addicted to Susan Bratton.
Yeah, right on. Right on.
And it's at Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT.com. Comes from my book, Sexual Soulmate Pact. And then the only other thing that I really wanted to give you was, I have a website at betterlover.com. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I do is I teach a lot of yoni massage, genital massage of pleasuring our lady parts. And most of us have never, ever had a guy do anything but rub our clitoris too hard and then stick themselves in us. And so we have a lot of built up anger in our vulva. That needs to be released by gentle, loving touch with no expectation. And even if you have a ham-handed partner, they can learn to touch you in the most exquisite ways that bring that blood flow into that donut with a point of your erectile tissue so that when you are finally having intercourse, you're having orgasms. It's about engorgement and pleasuring touch that's required leading up to it, not just being penetrated too early for the 10,000th time. You got to break that cycle and you got to retrain yourself and your partner. Yeah. And so betterlover.com, if you just type in the word massage, you'll get 10 videos of all aspects of yoni and lingam massage, sensual massage, erotic massage. It's all free. I just do these things. It's not X-rated. It's just me walking and talking you through.
Sure. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's both of those are excellent resources. And I will have the links in the show notes.
Great.
Susan Bratton, thank you so much for your time today. I think we've learned a lot.
Good. I'm so glad, Rachel. Thank you so much for having me and talking about such an important topic. It's been my pleasure.
Hi, this is Rachel Astarte from the Self-Talk podcast. I'd love for you to send me your emails with questions or stories about yourself. What are you looking for? What are your questions? What are you grappling with in your own personal life that has to do with your identity, with yourself, with your very existence? These are the things that we're going to talk about during the podcast. And go ahead. It's all right. Get deep. I can handle it. So send them to Rachel@selftalkpodcast.com. And I'll see you on the next episode.